Good evening, everyone. Remember, I was a teacher. I can overtalk you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 8th Board of Education meeting. Will we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Trustee Jenga? Trustee Jenga?
Here.
Trustee Altman? Trustee Asabu, sorry about that. Okay. Trustee Gale? Trustee Lency? Here. Trustee Kerwin? Here. Trustee Redd? Trustee White?
Present.
Trustee Saunders? Thank you.
At this time, I would like to appoint our new District Deputy Clerk, Rita James. Oh, may I have a motion? I'm sorry. I'm new at this. It has been moved and properly second that we appoint Rita James as our new District Deputy Clerk. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Okay. Thank you. Rita, welcome aboard. She will now be... Yeah, all her girls.
You're going in front?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Is there a wireless?
We'll take one of those.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Rita James,
I, Rita James,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of District Clerk according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Welcome aboard. Communication from the public?
Yes. There is no legal requirement to recognize public comments at meetings of the Board of Education. However, the Board recognizes the critical importance of community discourse and involvement in the education of Mount Vernon's children, and accordingly, members of the public are invited to speak at each regular scheduled board meeting, subject to the terms of the board policy. A speaker must register in advance by no later than 4 p.m. the day of the meeting by contacting the district clerk in person at 165 North Columbus Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York, by phone at 914-665-5235, or by email. The board welcomes all respectful comments, whether praise or criticism. However, identifying and criticizing a specific student, parent, teacher, administrator, or other Mount Vernon education official or employee is strictly prohibited. Any such complaint must be presented and addressed through the proper administrative channels. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to speak. Up to 1 additional minute may be used for the speaker to summarize and conduct their remarks. If appropriate, board trustees and/or the superintendent or other staff members at the direction of the superintendent may immediately respond to a speaker's remarks. Our first speaker tonight is Cynthia Crenshaw.
She's not here. She here? Oh, this one. That's her. Yeah.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Okay. The clock started. Okay. We were told that there would not be an increase in our school taxes. Why was there an increase? You must be completely transparent in order for the taxpayer to believe in what you are saying. There will probably be issues when the next budget comes or a bond request comes up. There's rumors that charter schools may be coming to Mount Vernon. If you have any knowledge of these rumors, please let the taxpayers know. Do not let it be like the last one where we did not know. We read about it in the paper. We paid $9.1 million to these schools a year off of the backs of the Mount Vernon taxpayers. Is there a possibility that the laws can be changed so the parents who do not pay taxes can contribute to this tremendous bill? Our school, which is Parker Schools, is in need of repair. But thank you very much for completing the first floor bathroom. Is there an ETA for the second floor bathrooms? All of them were supposed to be finished by now. When you come into Parker, it is dark and not a light and cheery hallway. Take a trip to Graham, Pennington, and Tripagan and come back to Parker and let me know your thoughts when you enter Parker. Parker should be a model school for having the first black teacher principal in Mount Vernon. We are currently researching to see is it possible to make this a landmark. Will Parker ever have any green space as it is considered an urban school? I was told the playground was removed to construct a parking lot back in the early 80s. Why? Tried talking about buying the property on the corner next to the school to obtain green space, and now that property is sold. Also, we would like to thank you for finally reducing the bus. This would be a great help to parents. The students has taken CFM, which is Career Financial Management, for 2 years and did not get any credit for that wasted time because there wasn't a certified CFM teacher. Was this the case for all the schools in Mount Vernon? I was told now you do not have to be certified, but you must be a licensed teacher. What's the real status with that? A cannabis is being proposed to be established on 4th Avenue and 3rd Street, of course the South Side. This project will be in the middle of Benjamin, Turner, Parker, Amati, and DSW. We are asking that it should be relocated to another area. There's a protest taking place this Saturday at 1:00 p.m. Your support will be sincerely appreciated if you believe it should be relocated. I have petitions and flyers with me if anyone would like to sign your name. There's also a boys club that are being proposed across from Grimes Elementary School. The ages are 13 to 17, and they will be there for 45 days. This is considered a transient school where the boys come in for 45 days and go out. We believe this is not a good location being across the street from an elementary school. We had the opportunity of meeting with Assembly Prevost and members of City Council who is assisting us with this project. However, the building department has signed off on it, but not other departments as of yet. We are not against immigrant boys being housed in Mount Vernon. There's already a group home on 10th and 1st Avenue. Again, dumping on the south side of Mount Vernon. I'm not only interested in Parker, but what's taking place in Mount Vernon that could affect our children and community. I represent the 57th District, and I ran for this position because of the issues in the school system and City Hall. If people are really invested in Mount Vernon, Let's prove it and let's work together to make things right for our students and our community. As the saying goes in church, may the work I've done speak for me. Let your work speak for you. Thank you.
Our next speakers,
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
Ms. Crenshaw, I think Mr. Silva is going to talk about the taxes, but the other things I'll get back to you on. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. The school district taxes of $135 million were the same last year as they are this year. We know there was no increase in the taxes. The budget was defeated. The new budget had no increase in taxes from last year. A home's taxes could be higher because of the decline in the value of the community, meaning that when the assessments go down from, let's say, $151 million, which is what it was a couple of years ago, even by $1 million to $150 million, everybody has to pay more taxes, even though the taxes haven't gone up at all from the school district. So just a point, our taxes have gone up just over 1% in 9 years. And so nobody else is like that. And in fact, our taxes did not go up this year. And that's all because of assessments. So, Mr. Keller,
Okay, but he
So-
didn't say that. They didn't say that. They said no tax increase. You understand what I'm saying?
we
That's all we heard, was no tax increase.
Okay, so
Cynthia.
Ken, what we can do is have a conversation with Ms. Crenshaw, and then you can go through it and explain to her.
Ask the question and then go back. Can I ask a question?
Yes. Mr. Silva?
Mr. Silver, I have a question. Ms. Crenshaw mentioned that the bathrooms at Parker are not completed. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't hear me?
Only the first floor, she
You,
said.
yeah, she said it's only the first floor, so the second floor is not completed?
Better yet, what I'll do, Ms. Crenshaw, I'll put on my sneakers. Yes, I'll put on my sneakers and I'll go to Parker tomorrow and I'll look at those bathrooms and I'll give you the answer.
Yeah,
I'll be there at 9.
thank you. Okay, thank you.
Next.
our next speaker tonight, Meg McInerney, Lulu Clark, and Ben Kohansky.
Hello, thanks for having us. My name is Ben Kochansky, Lulu Clark, Meg McInerney. We're here from the Pennington PTA, and we are here to talk about an after-school program proposal that we sent by email, I believe last week, and we're invited to come and talk a little bit about it. It's very interesting stuff. We know that there are already after-school programs in the district, but this one is a little bit different, and I'm going to ask Lulu to speak to some of the specifics of what makes it different and how it would work if it were implemented in the district.
Thank you, Ben. Hi, good evening, everybody. I am the fundraising chair at Pennington, and this program that is being proposed is actually a program that's kind of near and dear to my heart. The founder of the organization and myself has worked tirelessly for several years together to develop this program, and it's a very robust and enriching program for all of Mount Vernon. I know, as was stated earlier, there have been separations, right, between Pennington School and other schools in the northern side, versus the southern side of Mount Vernon. And this is our attempt to sort of bridge that gap, right? We want to make sure that there's enough enrichment and great programming for all of the children. We want to make sure that they all have a way to advance. And the program itself is full of so many opportunities for these children. It is connected to Junior NBA, NFL flag. There's sponsorship from the Jets, from the WNBA. It also has, for the children who are not interested in sports, competitive Lego and robotics, a coding program. And I was able to negotiate with the actual founder of the organization to get the monthly rate lowered to $350 a month, and it would be 5 days a week from 3 to 6. And that would help a lot of parents, like a lot of parents with childcare for their kids, and knowing that their kids are somewhere safe. It would include tutoring for the children for 45 minutes right after school, and then like breakout clubs to what they're particularly interested in. And, you know, snacks. And they also work with families that are receiving services from DSS. There's like a lower rate for them and like a program for them, like a sliding scale type thing. What else? I'm trying to think. Oh, special education. Yes, thank you. How could I forget that? So myself, I have a child who is in a regular classroom but does get services on the side. And he does have an IEP, and they do have on staff special educators that would be able to specifically work with those children in a tutoring capacity in the afternoons, as well as help them get integrated into all the other enrichment programs that are there. So we are asking for you guys to please review and consider this program, not only just at Pennington, but district-wide, because there are some competitive sport aspects, as well as like the Lego aspects and the robotics aspects. Those are all competitive, like clubs. So we would need enough children enrolled to compete, obviously, throughout the district. But we definitely do want to open this up to everyone, because we're really big on granting everybody access to enrichment and activities and things that are going to help them grow. And let's get these kids doing something, because when they're not doing something, that's when we have problems. So we're really trying to not only educate them and uplift them, but give them other options and alternatives to just being out here doing nothing.
One last thing, I just want to reiterate, thank you. So $350 for a month for 3 hours a day. Yeah, really quick. 3 hours a day. There's about, on average, you know, close to 20 days in a school month, right? So that's 60 hours of time for $350. That's a really good rate for childcare, not let alone childcare that has enrichment opportunities that we're talking about. So we're not sure as far as next steps how this would go, but that's what we have to say to them. Thank you.
For next steps, I have the next steps. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Is that I have like 10 different proposals sitting on my desk. And this week was a very busy week, you know, trying to get the buildings in order and all of that. So next week I'm going to sit down with my team. We're going to review these proposals, and we'll talk to you. So you'll hear from me soon.
Great, thank you.
Because we are trying to have the kids do something, because when they are not doing something, they will be doing something, and something
Right.
that we don't like.
How does the saying go? Idle hands are the devil's plaything.
Exactly.
Let's let them not have idle.
Exactly. So you will hear from me soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Warren Mitchell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to see all you here again. Congratulations to our new trustees. Welcome. It's good to see you here, especially the newly installed ones that came on after the election. Madam Acting President, good to see you. And of course, beloved Dr. BC, Superintendent. So I wanted to just say a couple things. I'm going to be real fast, as I can be. When I came on as a trustee, there was a couple things that didn't happen in my first couple meetings, and one of them was nobody said, hey, think for yourself. Number one, don't go by the rumors, don't go by the hearsay, get the facts and get it in writing so you can see before you make decisions. It's okay to think for yourself, and it's okay to say no when everybody else is saying yes, and it's okay to say yes when everybody else is saying no. You have people sitting here at this cabinet that you should be investing your faith in, because Dr. BC has invested her faith in their vigilance as well. She believes in their integrity. You should go to them first. We're all board. You're all board members. You don't know anything more than the one next to you. Really, I'm going to say that. Everybody else is a suggestion until you go to the people with the facts. Go to the facts first. Come to everyone else after. Okay, so just be careful, because a lot of times you guys are making decisions on people's livelihood and all kinds of things, and especially the babies and the children in the district as well as the staff. And you're there to partner with your superintendent. Well, that's what your job is really there for. You're there to, guide her as she comes to you and tells you what she wants to do, and you give the green lights, but you guys are supposed to partner. And those seats are partner seats. They're not individual driver seats. You all should come together, especially in front of the people. You should come together as a group, and you should come together as a team. You handle all the bickering in the back, excuse me, and you come together jointly and discuss. Ask as many questions until you know exactly what it is that you're saying yes or no to when you sit up and you pass a resolution. Couple of things about buildings and grounds, and I will say I have sent an email. You've received an email from me, all of you on the board. You've received an email from me requesting my ability to remain on the Buildings and Grounds Committee from public view, from the public side, and to also be involved in a budget committee. I haven't heard anything back from you. I do know that is a decision that you guys can make. I also know that I have not heard anything about any committees having been put together yet. So I don't know what the time frame is on that, but we are already in the first week of school, so I'm hoping that happens soon. Couple things about buildings and grounds. The gates over at Leadership Academy are up. They were ripped down many years ago for no apparent reason that made any sense to anybody with a brain, but the gates are now back, thank God. So there's more security, things are in place, and is keeping things more safe for our children and our staff. Thanks to the people involved, our superintendent of business and our assistant superintendent our superintendent of pupil services for the registration, making sure that the process for registration and transfers was smoothly done. I want to talk really quick about CSEA discussions right now. CSEA people, our babies see our CSEA workers before they see their teachers and building leads. Okay, so the CSEA workers greet, feed, and say goodnight to our babies before and after the administrators and the teachers do. So when you're thinking about, and you guys are about to, if you haven't already, discuss CSEA negotiations right now, I want you to think about what's fair. That's it. Think about what's fair. There's a bunch of folks that are working for our district for many years, and they have been in great disparity with what they're getting paid. They're getting paid less than their age. We had one of our CSE workers come up here several months back, said she's not making much close to her own age. That's something we should think about. Not so much about which group of people gets more percentage and who's going to get the same percentage. And when those people getting that percentage are making 2 times to 3 times more than those folks that are CSEA workers. I'm going to be really fast and wrap up. I already talked about budget committee. Sorry.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you. I said a budget committee. Also, remember how important our security and safety officers are. I know that there was on the district site. If you haven't seen the new district site, I implore everybody to get on it, take a look. There's a new safety initiative, a slideshow on there that's amazing. I'm hoping that all of those cameras and the new things that are coming are going to be in place soon so we can see them. Join your PTA. All my parents that are listening, the importance and the power of the PTA is unmatchable. You saw Pennington PTA people come here. Let me say this. 10, 11 years ago, the Pennington PTA inspired me to ever join a PTA in my life. Okay? So let me just say, if you're not on it, be on it. I'm on the Mount Vernon High School PTA now. I am the treasurer, and I just joined STEAM. It's not a game. I'm going to still stay involved. Okay. I mean, pretty much that's all I got, but it's very good to see you all here. Thank you very much for everything you're doing.
Thank you for coming out.
Next speaker, Mary Harris.
Ms. Harris?
Good evening, everyone. It's a strange feeling to be back here. It's been a long time. But I have to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart.
Ms. Harris, can you talk a little louder so that we can pick it up?
Okay. Something that is very dear and near to my heart, something that I've been talking about for a long, long time. So much so that one of the past deputy superintendents and I always had words of war all the time. And that has to do with recycling in our city. I don't know how you feel about our environment. I don't know how you feel as a body about our climate as a whole. But I don't see how our city can move forward with our recycling program and clean up our environment and create an planet for the next generation if you're not on board. For years, the schools have not recycled. Many attempts were done to start recycling programs, but they faltered along the way because it was not enforced from the top. If you don't believe in it and you don't enforce it or encourage it, it's not going to go anywhere. I'm sure there isn't one school here in the city that has a complete recycling program. And I don't see why not. If we're educators and we're molding young lives, how can you not have a recycling program? How can you not support the city to do what it can do by encouraging recycling? I know not everybody who works in this city for the board lives in this city, but if you live here, it should be a priority. And if you don't live here, it should be a priority because this is only one planet. And we have to do something about it now, not next year, not in 2 years. And it is not an impossibility. I know we're going to hear that we have to pay more to recycle, but I don't think you have to. There's no need for it to cost us more money than we're already spending for you to institute any recycling program. The city of Mount Vernon picks up all of the garbage and everything from the schools. And you get the biggest chunk of the dollars that we spend in the city. And it's unfair to the rest of us. Because I've been recycling for the past 30 years I've lived here. I have stuck to it. I encourage my children. I make sure I do it myself and I lead by an example on my block. And I don't see why anyone sitting in this room is not capable of doing the same. It is hard for me to know that I struggle to pick up on my street, to put out my recycling when it's time, to put out my trash appropriately. And then I go by my local school and I see the cans tossed in with the regular garbage. How do you think that makes me feel? It's time for you to do something. It's not tomorrow. It can be done. And I'm going to keep talking about it. I would like to get some feedback that something is being instituted. It's the beginning of the school year, and it does not take forever to get it done. If you're teaching children to follow good example, well, it's time for you to lead. As the board that controls everything that happens in the school district, you need to do something about the recycling program. Those are my few words, and I expect to hear some results very soon.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Tom Keller.
Have her information?
No.
Good evening. Just a couple of points in the beginning before I get to my points. I don't want to upstage Mr. Silver, Ms. Crenshaw, but there's really three factors that go into your tax rate. Tax levy, zero. Assessments, they've been down and down and down over the last 15 or 20 years, pretty much. I believe they were down about $1 million last year to this year. That accounts for about 0.7%. And then there's the STAR program. Black box coming out of Albany. You don't know what it's going to be. For regular STAR, it went from 2090 to 1880. Rounded, 21 to 19. So if your house was assessed at 10,000, last year you were assessed on 7,900. This year you're assessed at 8,100. So that accounts for most of the tax increase. Lobby your legislators? I don't know. School district has no control over it. Absolutely not. Congratulations, Superintendent Bennett Conroy. You made the Sunday Journal News. You were quoted, "Trust is a problem if the community doesn't believe in you." Also, you made News 12 Westchester this morning. Okay. Let's see, where are we here? I think at the last meeting, Trustee White, you mentioned something like 664 charter school children this year. If I heard you right, I was in the back of the room. Sometimes it's difficult if you don't talk into the mic. But we had 320 at Amani, 100 at all other ones, and this new school, Intellectus, I was talking to Ms. Gibbons down at City Fest a couple of weeks ago. They only have 90 students, and there's only 60 from Mount Vernon. There's 30 from Yonkers and Bronx and other places. So I don't know how we get from 420 to 664 if I'm quoting the 664 as the correct number. What's happened?
It was other schools from New York City. We have children in charter schools in New York City, the Bronx, that we're paying for.
Well, we're getting reimbursed. Right, Mr. Silva? We're getting reimbursed, although on a delayed basis, right? Okay, we got to get the numbers right, because the beds number is going to be around October 1st, and we want to get the correct numbers
Mr. Silva will address you.
to prepare the budget for next year. Okay. All right. We lost a great Mount Vernon person, Judge William Edwards, on the bench for 19 years. Tough, fair, smart as hell. I was there, Macedonia, Friday. One member of the city council, Darren Morton, did a great ceremony with the Edwards family. I didn't see anybody from the district. Now, you may have been there. Everybody was masked, so it's difficult to recognize people. And it was the week before Labor Day, but, you know, died too young, 65. Disappointed I didn't see anybody from the district. All you trustees, all 9 trustees live in Mount Vernon. The administration, that's something different. But some administrators live in Mount Vernon. Mr. Mitchell mentioned the committees. Hope the committees are going to be chosen soon with the beginning of the school year. Use of recreation facilities, specifically the high school, the tennis courts, the track, and so forth, softball fields, whatever. I brought this up at the last meeting, and a couple of trustees engaged me in the corridor here before you went into executive session. And then I found out from someone else that when the track was open, there were kids starting fires on it or something like that. You know, there's a way around this. I'm not for denying students the use of the facilities, but they don't use it all the time. And, you know, weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, the lights don't work, according to Mike Policio. You know, they've been there 10 years, they don't work. Fix them. And if it takes security to oversee the use of the field by the citizenry, let's do it. The final thing is the renaming of schools. Why are we naming a school? Do we have to pass a test to get into Holmes now? Do we have to pass a test to get into Columbus? We're eliminating Oliver Wendell Holmes and Christopher Columbus for the Leadership Academy and the Honor School? Generic names? What does that mean? There's too much renaming of schools in this community. George Washington. My wife taught with Nellie Thornton. I don't think they should have named the school after her. Denzel Washington came in with a pile of money. They should have named the auditorium after Denzel Washington and kept George Washington as a school name. So what's next? Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln? Alexander Hamilton?
Mr. Keller, your time is really up.
Okay, thank you. I'll be back.
Mr. Keller,
I know.
Mr. Keller,
We'll see you.
Mr. Keller. Mr. Keller, so you spoke last meeting, and you also referenced again tonight about the tennis court. So I had a meeting with the building director.
Does he really exist? I've never seen him.
He does exist, Mr. Keller. And so I had a meeting with him, and I did ask him if the community would be allowed to use the court. And he called me back yesterday. We had a great meeting. And he called me back yesterday to confirm that the community will have access to the court, or do have access to the court going forward. Of course, not when school is in session. It's going to be in the evenings and on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, good.
So yes, the community can use the courts. To get to the courts, it has to be over the bridge, because it won't be on the other end, so it will be access through over the bridge. So yes, so I did follow up on your question.
So it's open for the tennis courts, it's open for the track and the other fields?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I think that Mr. Silva was going to address.
Wait a minute, Mr. Silva, could you answer him? Mr. Keller?
I'm not sure what part of what he said I'm supposed to be answering here.
About the charter schools.
So we do not have firm figures for the charter schools yet. Those numbers are still coming in. The Intellectus school is still not full to capacity, and we don't know who's not here until we know they're not here, until they sign up for those schools. And yes, you're correct, trustee, there's about 16 schools in New York City and in the Bronx. And so we do not have a firm number yet, but we know it's a very high number and much higher than last year. So we will have that October 1st when the firm data is in from all of the charter schools.
Thank you.
For the charter schools? Well, it's between 18,000 and 30,000 a child, depending upon the needs of the child. And so we don't know that yet until the final figures are in. And children can go in or out during the year. They can leave here, go there, leave there, come here. And so it's month by month. We check the attendance each month and pay the bills based on that.
But is it not for 1 million currently or no?
It is, but we don't know if it will exceed that. We just do not know that yet.
But it's not for 1 million. Thank you.
And there was a question about aid on this.
Right.
So we do not get state aid in that sense. We get high tax aid, or it's handicap aid, or for different things. We get aid based on what's spent. So if we spend $9 million, we get something back from the state in state aid for that. High cost aid, something like that, for handicapped kids or for the charter kids. So it comes to about maybe a third comes back to us. It's not like state aid for buildings or a regular state aid. It's different, and it's not a lot. The cost is very, very high for us.
Thank you, Mr. Silva.
That ends communication from the public.
I want to thank everyone that spoke tonight, and you will be hearing from us at a later date if you had questions. I now would like to have the superintendent's report from our illustrious superintendent.
All right. Good evening, everyone. And I must say that today was a very good day, because visiting all the schools and seeing all the kids coming back, they were very happy that they get to see their friends. Some could not even wait to get inside the school. They believed that we were keeping them out while we were checking them off. They just couldn't wait. And the parents were happy, the kids were happy, and the teachers were out, welcoming them back to show them that we do care for them. So this was an exciting day today. But it has been an exciting week, because last week, myself and my team was in the buildings trying to make sure that the buildings were ready for the kids to come in today. And I have to tell you that I must give thanks and praises to the custodians, the cleaners, all of those folks who make those buildings possible today. So I have to give them a big shout out, because And for those who call me over the weekend, who work Friday, Friday night, Saturday, Saturday night, Sunday, Sunday night, Monday, Monday night, I have to give you special thanks because they worked right through the day and night to make sure that those buildings were like really, when you walk in them, you can see your face in them. Just so shiny and clean. So special thanks for that. And I also want to, again, thank the parents who really supported, my journey. And they have started and they begin already. A lot of them even went to the buildings, to look for themselves and said, okay, Dr. BC, things are going right. They volunteered. And I'm saying to those folks out there, thank you, because you want to make sure that not only your child is safe, but you want to make sure that other kids are safe. So I really want to thank the community for doing that. And I just have a few reminders because I have a presentation tonight on autism by Dr. Kim Smith. I challenged them a couple months ago to come and do a presentation, and they are here tonight, but I'm not going to keep, babbling on. I'm going to just remind you guys of a few things that has been taking place. So I know somebody, Ms. Crenshaw, you mentioned about the bus passes. For many, many years, the parents have been saying to us, can you subsidize the bus passes? And we kept saying, no, we can't, no, we can't, no, we can't. So what we did this year, we find a way. Normally, a parent would pay $290 for maybe from now until December. So what they're going to pay now, they're only going to pay $145. And that's for half of the year, not even until December. So a lot of parents have came in, pick up their bus passes, because we want to be able, we want to be sure that the kids who are coming from the south side, come to Mount Vernon High School, have a bus pass to come to school. Because many times during the course of the winter, I see kids walking in the cold, because they don't have the money to get the bus passes. So what we have done, we have subsidized bus passes for all our high school students who needs it. And I have to say the parents have been picking it up. So that's the lowest I could go, which is kind of more than 50%. But at least I know you have some parents who have been very grateful and very thankful and appreciative that we did that for them. So Ms. Crenshaw, thank you so much for acknowledging that tonight. Yes, what we're doing though, we are talking to the state to see how we can more or less replace that, because that's a hard area to find people to work in. So we are working on it. And Mr. Doggett and myself, and I also have the discussion with Ms. Tiggs, and how we're going to make that work. So I haven't forgotten you. We are working on it because it's not only one school has that issue. You have several schools have that issue. So we are working on it as soon as we can. You're welcome. Now I also want to thank my safety team. I saw Mr. Fagan in here. Mr. Fagan, please stand up. I have to tell you, you and your team has done an awesome job. I saw, you will see the men in black. Those are the new security guards. I call them the men in black because you're all dressed in black. And the parents as well as the principals have shown appreciation for having the extra security guards in the building to make sure that all our exits are covered. So I have to give it to you. And thank you so much for coming up with a plan that works for all of us. I know this is your first day, but I know for a fact that you've been working for the past 3 months from summer school to make this happen. You see, the community doesn't know that, but I know that, and other people know that, and I really have to give you kudos, okay? Thank you. So I also want to announce that the Parent Resource Room, we're going to do a soft launch on Monday, September 12th from 9 to 11 and from 1 to 3. Ms. O'Connor, do you want to say something on the soft launch for the community center? I know. But you guys have been planning it.
Yeah, absolutely. We are very excited to be introducing our Parent Resource Center to our families. We have actually been up and operational during the summer and prior to the summer months, just doing small invited guests only. This is a bigger launch where we're going to invite all of the community in to see the resources that are available, to see the programs that we want to introduce, and to most of all encourage parent and community engagement with the district and with the Parent Resource Center. We have been working tirelessly assisting with registration, assisting parents with any questions that they may have about enrolling in the district. We have a huge influx of new community members that have been coming to visit us, so we're very excited about it. And we hope that a lot of you can join us on Monday to come see what it is all about and help us bring the word to the community that we are there. We hope to introduce evening hours and weekend hours, which will really help serve our community and meet them where they are, because a lot of parents can't come out during the day. That doesn't mean they don't want to or don't want to be engaged. It's just not possible. So it's time, that we meet our families and our parents where they are, and that is the goal of the Resource Center. So we do hope to see a lot of you there on Monday. We will have 2 time frames. So we'll have a morning and an afternoon, and it'll all be posted on our website. So yeah, please come out and join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. So back to the safety part of it. During the course of safety, and I want to let these parents know that we have done a lot in ensuring that safety is priority. And with that, we put the safety planning in place. We also have the visitors access in place. And we also have safety tech in place. And this is where you have the cameras. Now, today we had a meeting with Day Automation, and I gave them a timeline with our security team at the office. And we gave them a timeline with Mount Vernon High School that school has to have the camera by mid-November 15th, right? Right, November 15th. So the other 5 schools that we are planning on doing will come after. But the goal is by 2020, the end of 2023, going into 2024, all our schools will have their cameras in place. And those cameras are aligned with the police department. So today, we have that final talk about the necessary steps, what's going to be done, when things are going to be implemented, because I'm a stickler for timeline. And that was made clear today. So just for the parents who have been asking about the cameras, I just want them to know that. And also with curriculum, I just need to say something about curriculum before I get off. Number 1, the RFP for the 3-year-olds pre-K, it's on its way. So you will hear from Dr. Gail White sooner or later. So we need to get our pre-K kids in. And also we have the curriculum maps that we expressed to you the other day about our curriculum. The only thing that we have left to do is to input it into the Rubicon Atlas. Dr. Doggett, is already in, so you want to share with the public?
In the springtime, we had an ELA and Social Studies committee. We created some ELA and Social Studies maps. We mapped out what the year will look like, the scope and sequence, and we uploaded that information in Rubicon Atlas for the public to see. Currently, we're just waiting for the units of study to attach, and once that's in, it'll be complete. And that was about a 3-month process to enter that information in. So everyone has access to that curriculum on the Rubicon Atlas.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Doggett. So with that being said, I am going to end by saying that last week we have one of the most exciting new teacher orientation that took place. That was done by Miss Marcy Tiggs. Marcy, can you just go to the mic and just tell us a little bit about it? Sorry to call on you like that, but you guys have to learn to answer to things.
Always be prepared. That's the Girl Scout
Exactly.
model.
We have to learn you're going to catch us off guard.
No,
So-
but you see, if they know it and they did it, they can be able to talk about it no matter when I call on them.
Yeah. So as you know, we onboarded several new employees this summer, inclusive of 48 new teachers as of last Tuesday. And so we had 48 teachers attend new teacher orientation, which was held at Benjamin Turner Middle School. On day one, they had an overview of student services. They had an overview of curriculum and instruction as a whole. And then they broke into smaller breakout sessions that were exclusive to exactly their subject area or their area of certification. So elementary teachers went with elementary teachers, and we had Mary Beth Rose, Director of ELA and Social Studies, talk about the ELA and Social Studies curriculum at the elementary level. We had secondary social studies teachers that met with her. We had science teachers meet with Dr. Jagnandan, and math teachers who met with Dr. Jagnandan. Dr. Smith coordinated for special education elementary teachers to meet with elementary teachers. Gen Ed is regular as well as special education, because in a general education class, you have students who are classified. Dr. Cicello spoke about the ENL program to the Gen Ed teachers as well as the new ENL teachers. We also gave out laptops and did ID pictures so they'd be ready for Thursday. And then on day two, the technology department showed them all the different technology that we use, the different software, Schoology, etc. And then after that, it was followed with a tour of the city that passed. The goal was all 16 schools, but some streets were closed off. So we saw 13 out of 16 schools. We went by St. Paul's. They saw where the Boys and Girls Club was, Dole Center, the house that George Washington stayed in, where Thomas Jefferson practiced. So they have an idea of the community in which they're working in, so that they have a connection to the community that they're working in. And then we followed it up with lunch that we called Taste of Mount Vernon. So Ripe had food, Maggie sent food, Pizza King had food, Dunkin' Donuts on Lincoln sent some donuts, Kelly Cakes. So it was just an overall, not just of the district as a school system, but the district at large. So that's how we welcome them, and hopefully the connection that they have and the orientation builds a connection and retains them with us. Thanks.
Thank you. And that concludes the superintendent report.
Oh, thank you. And what a wonderful idea to take your new teachers around to see the city of Mount Vernon, so they can learn it right now. But it's great. We do have committee report. I'm up to committee reports now. And as people have asked, do we have committees? Yes. Each trustee is assigned to a committee. Trustee Gale, would you like to say what committee you are working on? Or committees?
Well, I have Finance and Budget Committee. Yeah, I'm on the Finance and Budget Committee, and we'll be working in buildings and grounds.
Thank you. Helena? Trustee Helena, I'm sorry.
I'm working on wellness and school lunch. I have an easy in because my husband's an executive chef, so that'll help out a lot.
Great. Trustee Gloria?
Okay, I'm working on the policy committee and on the education committee, and anything that's left over.
So I'm on the budget committee, the policy committee, audit committee, and I think family and engagement, community engagement committee.
And I am working on, I have it written down. I can't find my own name. I'm working on the HR committee, the special ed committee, and building and facilities committee. Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark Lindsay. I am on Buildings and Grounds, and I'm on the Security Committee. And as was said before, very happy that we have the new director, Mr. Fagan, and his road supervisors. I think it's going to be a really good year as far as that goes, and make a lot of headway with the security issues of the past.
Right. Thank you.
So thank you. So we do have our committees in place. It will be put on the website, so if someone needs to get in touch with someone, we can, they can look on the website. There is a,
Yes.
before, well, let me, since I'm on committees, does anyone have a committee report today? Do you have one?
I just kind of gave a brief briefing of it, but if you want
Okay.
Again, I speak regularly with Mr. Fagan and his road supervisors, and also have been in touch with BC. I know that we've brought in the other consulting companies to do.
They can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, and I speak regularly with BC, Dr. BC. I know that we have been doing security evaluations of the schools. We've done it earlier in the summer, and are continuing to do it. And I know that you're working with the tech people to align everything so that, as you said before, we get everything cameraed up and physical security the way it ought to be.
Right.
Okay.
And we also have in the white folder a copy of the,
Safety.
it's a copy of the security evaluation.
Yes.
So it's all here, so you can also read it and see what is necessary per building. But you can see that. Right.
Excuse, as far as budget and finance, Trustee Curran and I met with Mr. Silver, and we just discussed some budget stuff that we will be continuing some more in communication so we can give you some more of what we find out. So we just had one meeting, and as soon as we continue, we'll be able to give the community more updates.
Lorna?
So as far as the audit committee, we are putting that together. However, we just wanted to find out or follow up if the district, if there is an audit that's been conducted within the district, and if so, can we get a comprehensive report on the findings and what departments are being audited, when it started and when it will be concluded. So that way we could move forward with the committee.
Okay, thank you. Now, Dr. BC?
We have a very big presentation that we are going to ask Dr. Kim Smith and her team to come and present on autism.
Good evening, everyone. We are delighted to have this conversation about autism. We speak about special ed and some of the things that's not as positive as our autism cohort. It's near and dear to me. In 2013, I was a special ed supervisor, and I made a proposal to the former superintendent that I wanted to bring back to district a autism population. So in doing so, I had to come up with a proposal. The members here with me today really has put my my prayers and desires into action. So I have with me today Dr. Joyce Corpus, who's a special ed supervisor. I have two special ed teachers, Pamela Orvich and Jacqueline Freeman Jackson. I have a representative from the All Points, the ABA consultant firm, that's Gina Thierry. I have a speech language pathologist. But back to 2013, what I did, what I did is I wanted to spotlight or highlight special ed. We have autism throughout the district, pre-K to 12, but we will be focusing on primarily on Rebecca Turner and Pennington. What you have in front of you is what I proposed at the time. I proposed to bring back students, and it was about 21 students, believe it or not. It saved the district $760,122. That was a tremendous savings. I have to admit that, we looked for a home for this program to bring back students. We did have 2 classes at what was called the Lincoln Annex. And they did have some ABA there. But those 2 classrooms was moved over, and we found a home thanks to Dr. Dorgett at Rebecca Turner Elementary School. The next page indicates the number of special ed students with autism in our school district. So like I said, we have them throughout the district, but we're focusing on Rebecca Turner and Pennington. I'm going to ask Dr. Joyce Corpus to come up, and she'll define autism for you.
So unlike Dr. Smith, I have to take my glasses off to read. So I'd like to just say again, good evening and thank you to all for this opportunity to present the Autism Cohort program, one of the programs within our special ed department. I just would like to start with the definition, the signs and characteristics of autism spectrum disorder. We often hear autism spectrum disorder, ASD, oh, my child is on the spectrum. So what does that all mean? I also want us to be aware of the fact that we have some students, as Dr. Smith mentioned, classified with autism in our general education classes as well, and they also receive services, but they require less structure and support. Intellectual disability and autism spectrum disorder frequently co-occur, which is not uncommon to find these students in our cohort programs, which will be our main focus today. To meet diagnostic criteria for ASD, autism spectrum disorder, according to DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, and is published by the American Psychiatric Association. A child must have a persistent deficits in each of 3 areas, and those areas are social communication and interaction, plus at least 2 of 4 types of restrictive, repetitive behaviors. The autism spectrum disorder is a range of neurodevelopmental disorders or conditions, generally characterized by difficulties in social interactions and communication. Again, repetitive behaviors, intense interests, an unusual response to sensory stimuli. It's not uncommon for them to be extremely sensitive to noise or sounds or light, depending on the stimuli. A simple definition for ASD is a neurological and developmental disorder that affects how people interact with others, communicate, learn, and behave. Levels range from least to most severe. That's why they call it the spectrum disorder. And it's not uncommon to hear they're on the spectrum, because they can be at various levels. Again, we're talking about our students in the cohort program today. Some students require minimal support, some require moderate support, and others, which we will focus on today, require very substantial or intense support. In special education, we like to highlight the strengths while working on, we do highlight the strengths while working on the deficits. It's always important to know the strengths of our students so that we can address them and apply accordingly while providing their instruction and services. So if you take note up there on the screen, you will notice that while a child may be classified with autism, it is important to know that they do have strengths. So some of those positive autistic traits include heightened senses. They have senses that they are heightened to senses, and that's a positive thing. They're empathetic. They're hyper-focused. They understand complex reasoning, sometimes at a level that is higher than our level. They also have communicative creativity. They're literal thinkers, visual thinkers, analytical minds, always at work. And one thing, and most importantly, they're honest and loyal. And so on that note, I'd just like to pass it on to Miss Gina Thierry from All Points. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in a little bit later.
Hi, thank you. Gina Thierry from All Points. You, go ahead, you can go to perfect, thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about our involvement in the Autism Cohort here at Mount Vernon. First, I'd like to talk about our mission. Go ahead. Yep. So the mission of All Points is, as you can see, we have different areas in which we focus on. We like to bring the evidence, so applied behavior analysis is what we bring to Mount Vernon and bring to the classrooms. It is an evidence-based practice that has been proven in the literature to be beneficial to working with children with autism. So when we are looking at teaching this cohort, or specifically children with autism here in the Mount Vernon community, what we are looking to do to bring to your teachers and classroom staff and support staff is the evidence in terms of what applied behavior analysis is and how it can be used to be helpful to children with autism to increase learning and to increase skill development. We believe that all children can learn when given the right environments, involving the community, and the potential for what we can teach children when we use evidence-based practice is endless. By instructional design, we have developed, in conjunction with your teachers, effective programs for students, and all instructional program begins with a comprehensive assessment and language of functional skills in what we call their skills assessment. We have worked with your teachers over the years to do an initial assessment of our learners, so we then develop functional skills to teach, academic skills to teach, and the skills are targeted within the classrooms so that all the learners make progress, and we take data based on learners' progress. So all data are kept across all students in the classroom, and that data gives us evidence as to whether programming is effective, are kids making progress, are IEP goals being met, with the ultimate outcome of students progressing within their program, progressing to more least restrictive environments, which is ultimately the goal. Just because somebody is diagnosed with autism does not mean that they are specifically have to stay within a very restrictive program. They can move on as more skills are learned, more skills are gained. Kids can move environments from a very restrictive setting to a least restrictive setting. This is what applied behavior analysis does. It brings the evidence of what works, what has been proven to be successful in the scientific literature, and we bring that to the teachers and the support staff of Mount Vernon through this instructional design. The instructional design is twofold. We work within the natural environment, and we work in what we call a very discrete one-on-one type setting. Both of those environments have strong empirical support when working with kids with autism in bringing about change. In the natural environment, as you can see from the picture, looks just like that. You work with kids within the environment in which kids learn. Not all kids learn sitting at a table, being drilled, looking at books, being taught at. Kids learn when the environment is set up in such a way that they want to learn, they want to play, they want to talk. Those are the moments that we teach your teachers to capture, to contrive, so that we build skill development in the environments in which typical children learn. The other part to the instructional design is a very structured one-on-one teaching type of format. Now, both of those used in conjunction bring about optimal change and optimal performance in the students. And again, both of them are strongly empirically supported in the evidence of literature in the field of autism and education and progress for kids who are diagnosed with autism. So when we look at what does behavior analysis do? We hear behavior analysis, we often equate ABA with autism, but what is it? Behavior analysis is dimensions, or it's a way of teaching, a way to encourage children to learn, and the guiding principles that guide what we call the applied behavior analysis field is it is applied, meaning we apply the principles or the basic principles of learning to children. We analyze the data that we take on our students, and then we encourage that across all environments. We share what we do in the classrooms with the parents at home, because if we've learned anything through this pandemic, is that what we teach in school has got to generalize at home. It is not good enough for kids to do things in the classroom if they're not going to do it at home. So what we call the tenets of ABA, or the science of learning, is that we apply the basic principles. We take data on children's learning or their lack thereof learning, and if learning is not happening at a pace in which we think is appropriate, we make changes. And then we take the learning that has occurred, and we make it what we call generalizable to all environments, so that it doesn't just happen in a classroom, but it happens in a hallway, or it happens in an APE class, or it happens at home with mom and dad, or on the bus, or whatever the case may be. So those are the dimensions, what we call of applied behavior analysis, to ensure that learning not only takes place within a very specific setting of a classroom, but it happens across many, many settings. So what does our all points consultation look like? Well, it looks like a team of what we have behavior analysts. These are, graduate level people who have studied human behavior as sort of their, as their study. And our consultants go into the classroom, and one of your own classroom teachers will explain to you what this was like. But we go into the classroom and we work with teachers to improve the way in which teachers are teaching kids with autism, to incorporate the science of learning into teaching, into their everyday practice. So we will go into classrooms, we will teach teachers how to perform optimally so that we can get the best results from all of our learners. We teach the teachers and all the staff how to take data, not only because it can show progress, because it makes a defendable program. We are able to defend our IEPs. We are able to show progress across our IEPs. And then we take that data and we analyze it and we share it with parents. We share it at CSE meetings. And we are able to have progress not only in our IEP development, but we are able to show progress across our learners with all the data that we have taken on there. So I want to introduce Ms. Friedman. Thank you.
Page. Good evening. So you can turn to the next slide for me. That would be great. Thank you. So good evening, everybody. So I'm going to discuss some of the curriculum that the cohort and students with autism use in the district. The first one that you see there in front of you is called the Verbal Behavioral Milestone Assessment and Placement Program. It's called VB Maps. And this is an electronic scoring system. It contains all the content from paper version of the VB Maps. It has a guide and a protocol that you can follow. It's quick and easy, and it has a scoring milestone that you're able to use to score the actual program as it's processed. It has transitions, barriers, and subtests that you can use within the classroom. It also has an automatic charting system of data and reporting of results. You're able to export the assessment results into a PDF file for your use. The next one that you see there is called the Direction Instruction Program. This is called DI. And there are 3 components in the DI program. There is a Reading Mastery program, there's a Connecting Math program, and there's a Language for Learning program. And then we have a new program curriculum that we're using, and it's called Unique Learning. We love Unique Learning. It's very new to our district. And this new curriculum is differentiated for the grade levels. It has differentiated lessons. It is standard aligned for the content of ELA, math, social studies, and transitions. It also goes over powerful behavior management tools for teachers and students. It also has basic tasks for students to follow. It has data-driven decisions that are for students to master state and extended standards demonstrated by measurable results in school and beyond school. So if you take a look at the next slide, we have a snapshot into a classroom at Rebecca Turner Elementary School. And if you take a look at how the classroom is set up, in the cohort, we set up classrooms based on student needs. If you look at this picture, you see that there is individual pictures of student schedules for individualized students. There is also a small group learning center for students to sit in a small group instruction. There's also a large group area table for larger instruction in the classroom. You can turn to the next slide. Thank you. We also have individual desks on this slide for students who are sitting for individual work. There is also a group instructional smartboard that we use in front of the classroom for students to have presentations and instruction in front of the class as a whole. And also, if you take a look at this slide, we have a play center which will have sensory tools, sensory materials, and any play tools and sensory materials that students may need throughout the day. On this next slide, you will notice that there are a lot of visuals. Visual supports are key for the cohort students. Okay? So on the walls, you'll notice that there are a lot of visual supports, a lot of visual aids, a lot of tools that you see in the classroom that will support students to be independent learners. You also notice on this slide that there is a corner for students to go to the library and to build independence for themselves. Students in the front of the classroom have a visual schedule that they use throughout the day. There are table groupings for students to work together and build community. There are also class jobs in this slide for students to have responsibility and take ownership in their classroom. And there's a lot of visuals and supports and aids for students to be successful. You can turn to the next slide. If you notice on this slide, we have designated areas within the classroom. There's a reading center, a writing center, a math center, and a word wall. These are there so that students notice what's expected in the classroom, as well as have their work displayed within the classroom for them to have autonomy. Okay, you want to take this up? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pam Orlovitz. I'm a teacher at Rebecca Turner Elementary School, and I have been working in the cohort since its beginning back in 1994, and that was before we got all points and Dr. Smith came and really helped us move along here. And I get the fun part because I get to tell you a story. I get to tell you about everything that we've been talking about and wrap it up in one student, my student Nino. And when Nino came to me in kindergarten in September of 2018, his journey was really scary for him. You can move ahead a couple of slides. There, that one, great. Everything was very different. He was put on a bus, he was brought to Rebecca Turner School, and he was let off the bus. He didn't know anybody, he didn't know the building, he didn't know what was going on. And he let us know that the only way that he could. He screamed, he cried, he kicked his feet, he bit, he kicked. Everything was overwhelming for him. In the beginning, it would take us 30 to 45 minutes to get him from the bus down to the classroom, and then another 15 to 20 minutes to get his coat off, to get his backpack hung up. So this is where we're starting with some of these students. The world is scary for them. It was so obvious that a significant barrier for Nino was transitions. Changes are hard. So things that we did, you can go to the next slide, was we did assessments, which Gina spoke to you about a little bit, and we looked at what are the skills this child has, what is his interest, what are his biggest barriers. And some of the data sheets you can see up there, they're color-coded. We can keep track from year to year, see what skills, his barriers that came down, his barriers to learning, and the skills that he needed that went up. And a lot of other data, problem behavior data, transition data, attention data. And by looking at these assessments, we set up programs. Programs that basically come down to pairing. School's got to be fun. The classroom has to be fun. The teachers need to be fun. The kids have to buy into it. We have to motivate them, and they need to be reinforced for those behaviors that we want them to increase. So we implemented all the things we learned through All Point, and we put together a program for Nino. So what happened to Nino? Nino is entering 4th grade this year. By the end of his kindergarten year, Nino was able to walk in a line with his classmates to go to all the specials in the school. He put away all his belongings and transitioned to all activities within the classroom and outside of the classroom. He was put into an accelerated reading program. He was reading with comprehension at the 1st grade level. He was learning keyboarding. He was performing at grade level for math and was able to use age-appropriate language to express his wants and needs. By the end of 2nd grade, Nino was placed in a graded classroom. It's still an 812 classroom for children on the spectrum. He still needs supports. He still needs help, but he now has access to all gen ed curriculum. Transitions can still be a challenge, but he has the skills and he has what he needs to cope. You can ask his mom. They just went to Italy. This child, who couldn't get off a bus and go to his classroom, was able to take a plane to Italy, explore Italy, see the Colosseum, try new foods, come home, and he's back at school with us today. So that's a real success story on autism if you're doing the right thing.
We'll wrap it up just with speech. Chelsea will have a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know we've been here for a while, so I'm going to go a little quick. So you could go to the next slide. So we're going to talk about speech and language, and especially how it pertains to our children in the autism cohort. Children all over Mount Vernon City School District receive speech, but the way we do it in the cohort is a little bit different. Let's go to the next slide. So here is what we do. Like, a lot of things that we target in speech are not different from any student in general education who receives speech and language services. We still target articulation. We still target fluency, which is stuttering. We still target their social and emotional learning skills. But what we might do is we have different terms for them. We interchange a lot of our terms in the cohort with all points in like a lot of ABA therapy. And also we are looking more at how do we make the speech therapy that we're doing for kids with autism who might not have that social connection with us, who might not be able to relate with us the way that we might relate with each other, have it be meaningful. So we could go to the next slide. Sorry, go back one. So these are different modalities that we might use for our children who don't have that much language or who might need assistance with their language. We go from sign language to low-tech communication boards to devices. So, and I also don't want us to have the misnomer that because a kid has a device that their language is more advanced. Those two things don't go hand in hand. They can have a device and still be at the one-word level. They could use a communication book, or they could use a textbook and be speaking in longer utterances with a more variety of their communication intents. So the devices don't necessarily mean that they have a greater skill than if they're using any other form of device. But this is something we use to support our children with autism and their communication. And I just have one more slide. And this is how we really differ from speech and language services for students who are outside of the cohort. What we do within the cohort is we really hone in on their interests, and we use that as a basis for communication. If I know a kid likes Legos, that's what my therapy session is going to be based around. If I know that they like to play in the water and have squeezes and tickles, that's how I'm showing them that their language is impactful, that they can use something to communicate and mediate and change their environment so they can get the most reinforcement and gain those connections with people. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Smith and team.
We will have the first reading of the safety plan.
Good evening, everyone. So last time we came, we introduced to you our district safety plan. So our district safety plan is guided actually by New York State Safe Project Law. And as such, we as a district has to meet certain criteria. Part of the general criteria is how we're going to, as a district, keep our students safe and keep our staff safe. And there are two new criteria that were added this year that the district had to meet. The first one is, as a district, are we just having security or are we also providing intervention? And you could see from the our social media, we've added our intervention for the district. And our intervention this year, it's almost like a three-part, where we as a district want to build a relationship. The second part is where we want to do intervention. That's our bullying plan that we also added. As a district, we have our active shooter manuals in our building. We have our facility manual, our fire drill, all were collected and shared with the police and fire department. Okay. And technology has the draft that's been on the website for the last 30 days for public comments. At the building level, keep in mind our building security plan has to be protected because they have maps of the building in them. So what we strive to do is to annually review procedures that will keep our building protected. As Dr. BC shared with you, we have visitor control where everyone must sign in with a government ID, including staff, everyone. We also added, we coordinate our school plan as well as our district plan. Now, one of the things we had to do this year, due to COVID-19, is add a communicable disease part of our safety plan. So what does that mean? So we all hear about COVID, we hear about monkeypox. In the event New York State decide to shut schools, our district made provision that our staff would then become essential workers, so we would have people in person to serve our students. The other piece of our plan that we've talked about, and this is what has been guiding our meeting with the police department and fire department. We provide radio communication, not only within our building now, but the district will also have access in case there's issues. We create a clear protocol for central office administrators, directors of facility, and school principals to communicate. My new word for it, I'm always in a safety meeting. We're having a safety meeting because it is our top priority. The other part you will see in our plan as you visited it throughout the 30 days, we have clear prevention and intervention strategies that is part of our code of conduct that takes into consideration restorative practice. We have district-wide safety committee that is held by our principals. We also have incorporated intervention throughout every school, elementary, middle, and high school. We also decided as a district that we are going to not only be in contact with the police department in accordance to the law, but we have gone beyond that. We meet weekly with the police department to ensure that our protocol are being met. More than that, we partner with BOCES to make sure we are continuously in compliance. We started all our teachers this week with our safety training. We challenge every building to ensure that our teachers take this training seriously, comply with them, and make sure they all meet them. Our security guard are going through annual training with Mr. Fagan, with BOCES, as well as with the police department. Our staff knows about our protocol and our drill, and we've also shared it with the community. Tomorrow we will be releasing 2 more safety slides that will talk about definition for our lockdown, lock-in, lockout, and evacuation drill. We have clear protocol for who is in charge during any incident in our school. The chart is available on page 13. It is clear with who's in charge of what. The district has a safety master, which is our director of business and grant, Mr. Marlon Stevenson. The safety plan is still up and the comments are still open. But this is our first reading of our district safety plan. Any questions?
Any questions? No, excellent, excellent. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's so very important to make certain that we have great safety measures in place for our students. So thank you very, very much, Dr. BC and her committee.
And I just want to add that we have a social media policy that we are going to read at the next board meeting that we want people to vote on, because when we look at our policy, the social media policy is not there. So we are going to enforce that when it comes to that for the next time.
Thank you. We will now go into our resolutions.
May I have a motion? Human Resources 7.1. Human Resources number 66A, Certified Action.
Motion.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
We're all here. Aye.
Okay. May I have a motion, Human Resources 7.2, approval of Human Resources Resolution, non-certified? May I have a motion?
Trustees, let's go.
Yes, motion? Okay. Second? Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments, concerns? Approval of Human Resources Resolutions, non-certified? Everything was attached. Got it? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Abstain? Okay.
The motion has been carried. Not vote.
Did you vote, Mark? Yes.
Okay. Great. May I have a motion for curriculum and instruction? 8.1, approval of field trips for the 2022-2023 school year.
Motion.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye. I need to hear all trustees. I'm sorry.
May I have a motion for 8.2, authorization to pay assistant principals and a department administrator that attended the superintendent's administrators retreat? Motion?
Motion.
Okay.
So I have a question on that. Is there a breakdown on how much is going to be paid on those?
Yes, because it's according to their contractual salary, yes. Because everybody has a different salary.
All those in favor? Any questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Oppose? May I have a motion for 8.3? 8.3, authorization to pay staff additional hours to inventory, catalog, and complete receiving reports. Motion? Motion? Second motion?
Second.
Who's that? Who's second? Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. May I have a motion for authorization to hire staff for Denzel Washington School of the Arts production of A Soldier's Story?
Second.
Say it again? Okay. Who was the first one? Okay. Okay. Questions, concerns, discussions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Great. Okay. School improvement. May I have a motion for 9.1, authorization to approve the Mount Vernon City School District Comprehensive Improvement Plan and School Comprehensive Education Plan for the 2022-2023 school year. Motion? Can I have a motion? Questions, concern, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Abstain.
Who's that? Oh, okay. Okay. May I have a motion? 9.2, authorization to approve school improvement service memorandum number S23-3 dated September 7, 2022, Motion?
Motion.
Questions, comments, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? May I have a motion for 9.3, authorization to approve school improvement personnel memorandum number P23-5 dated September 7th, 2022?
Motion.
Okay. Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
Abstain.
Oppose? Motion carries. On student services, 10.1, may I have a motion for approval of student services, pupil personnel services memorandum number 04 dated September 7th, 2022?
Motion.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Abstain? May I have a motion for 10.2, 7.2, approval to award the winners of RFP number 2022-2023-01, special education and related services?
Motion.
Motion, yep, need a motion. Okay, so who was that? It was you? Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? I want the business office. May I have a motion for 11.1, approves general fund transfer 2022-2023, September 7th, 2022?
Motion.
I need a second.
First give a second.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
So can we get a brief description as far as the general funds transfers from 2022 to 2023? Can we get a brief description, please?
Yes.
In broad strokes, when the budget is designed between October and March, we do the best we can to prepare for as much as we can in each category. There were an extraordinary number of extra expenses that we incurred since May or June that we had to pay for during the summer. Concrete, fire escapes, lots of different things that exceeded what we had in certain budget codes. So the board is asked to make transfers to cover those expenses from areas where we think we have extra money at this time to cover those expenses. So that's in broad strokes. In this one, the major one had to do with concrete repairs in front of Traphagen School. We had to do sidewalks, walls. We had to change the drainage direction because it was pitched into the building instead of out of the building. And that was all done just before the Labor Day weekend. And that's what these are for. Also, our fleet is aging, and the repairs on our vehicles cost more because of that. We do have in the budget to purchase 2 new trucks this year, and that should help as well.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? May I have a motion for number 11.2, amendment to Resolution 6.6 dated July 6, 2022, reorganizational meeting, records access officer.
Everyone understand that one?
Can we get also a motion?
Okay.
A motion.
Okay. And I need a second.
And a second.
Second.
Who second? Who second? Helena.
You have to ask questions?
Questions, concerns, discussions?
So I do have a question. Can we get another breakdown on that? What's the details on that?
The records access officer is a stipended position. When the records access officer was appointed in July, the stipend of $3,600 was left off of the resolution. So this is typically done by the person who handles the elections and FOIL, and this is for that. And this is a particular case where this person has retired, and we're just fixing the record from July when we didn't do that. And this goes back to somewhere around 2004 or 5. We do have the documents setting that up as a permanent position, stipended position.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? May I have a motion for 11.3, rejects all bids for bids number 22 to 23-02, landscaping and snow removal services.
Motion.
Second.
Second is. Questions, concerns, discussions?
Anyone?
I have a concern. The reject all bids, can you explain that?
I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
The rejection.
So this was the second attempt this year to have a company to manage landscaping. This has to do with the sprinkler systems and some of the flowered beds. This was our second attempt. There were 3 bidders. All 3 of them did their bids improperly. And so we're rejecting it, and we have to rebid this. It also includes snow removal. None of the 3 companies chose to bid on the snow removal. The snow removal portion of that is when there is a drastic emergency in need for snow removal, such as a huge storm, when we do not have the capacity to manage it ourselves. And that part of it only takes place when we need that. Otherwise, that's not a part of anything.
When is the next bidding process?
We're hoping, well, we couldn't send out the next bid until this bid was rejected, and we'll have that bid out by Friday afternoon.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Gloria.
May I have a motion for 11.4, authorization for all food service workers that are district to be paid for a training date on August 31st, 2022.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? May I have a motion for 11.5, authorization to amend the contract with BOCES for Xerox machine?
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
Just a question. It's $9.30 per month for the school year. How long is it? I'm sorry.
Sorry, question?
$9.38 per month. How many months are we talking?
This is a 60-month addition to our contract. So you know, all of our copy machines are leased through BOCES, and we get somewhere in excess of 50% state aid by doing it that way. Previously, we had to pay for the service separately. Now the service is also through BOCES, and we get in excess of 50% aid on that. So these two machines, one in the Office of School Improvement to replace an old Sharp machine that we have owned for many years and that the repair people refuse to fix again, and the other is in the HR department, also replacing an old Sharp machine that just can't be fixed anymore. So this is just upgrading in two critical offices, and all our machines that we lease currently are through BOCES and with Xerox.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? I have a motion for 13.1, authorize an employment agreement with Michael Thompson as district videographer.
Motion.
Second.
Just second? Yes. Questions, concerns, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Okay, we will be going into executive session.
Okay, all right.
We will be going into executive session for the purpose of,
Yes.
We'll be going into executive session for the purpose of employment matters.
we will not be coming back out, so thank you for coming, and have a good evening.
But before we go, we have two parent liaisons.
Oh,
that
that's
are
right,
brand
I'm
new
sorry.
that we need to welcome. So we're going to call on Miss Davida James. Will you please come forward? And Miss Valvadinos, Pamela Valvadinos. These are our two new parent liaisons. One replaced Miss Alicia McDowell, and the other one replaced Rita James. So. And we also want to say goodbye and welcome to Rita James.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, Sandra.
Can I have a motion to go into executive session for employee matters?
Motion? Again, thank you for coming out.
All those in favor?